Welcome to Pivot Parenting, where we help parents of teens overcome regret and disappointment to find peace and connection in every situation. I'm Heather Frazier, your parenting expert. Journey with me to discover effective parenting tips, improve family relationships, and build a brighter future for your kids. Buckle up, things are about to get better. Hey, welcome to today's episode. This past week was a fun one. School has started. There's been a lot of moving parts in our house, and I'm sure that there is in yours. This past week, two of my kids, in my interpretation, basically told me they thought I was stupid. Again, my interpretation. They both said that's not what they think. But I took my son to the airport to fly back to China, where he's attending college. I asked if he wanted to go to lunch, and he kind of blew me off. I asked him if he'd be home for dinner, and he didn't know. He ended up showing his face just as we were all going to bed. It was back to school for my two high schoolers, and who doesn't love back to school shopping? The sharpened, sweet pointy pencils, fresh pens, crisp paper, notebooks. Yeah, it was a token invite to me from my two cute girls. I wanted a snuggle from my most snuggly baby. Didn't get one. There were a few other things that had me feeling just a little bit rejected this week. And so we are with this episode of Pick Me Parenting. Several months ago, my youngest, we were watching a show or something, and she's like, "Oh, that girl is such a pick me girl." And I was like, "What do you mean, pick me girl?" She's like, "Oh, she just wants the boys to pick her." And it's so desperate. And it just made me laugh because we have all been the pick me person at multiple times in our life. I want you to know that if you're feeling rejected by your kids, and if you just want them to pick you so that you can feel loved and important to somebody in the world, this is normal. It's so normal. We all take our turn in the seat of feeling like our kids don't like us, like we don't fit in, like we aren't wanted or needed. And we often look to our teens to validate that this isn't true, especially if something tragic has happened, like our friends all went to lunch and didn't invite us. I lived in Pennsylvania a while ago, and I showed up at a restaurant, and there were all the ladies, and they didn't tell me about it. And I was like, oh, huh? It was kind of awkward. It was a little bit awkward, but we've all been there. So this episode is for you, and it is for me because it is a good reminder for everyone. Today, what we're going to learn is 3 simple things. Number 1, how to identify harmful parenting habits of seeking validation from your kids. We all do this to varying degrees. It's okay. Let's talk about it so we do it less. Because number 2, we're going to recognize the harm that these habits are causing. They aren't nice. And then number 3, we're going to learn what to do instead to have a more authentic relationship with our kids. Are you ready? Let's do this. Number 1, how to identify harmful parenting habits of seeking validation. This is where parents typically add insult to injury, and they get all clingy and sulky and passive-aggressive in their interactions when said teens don't play along, when they don't validate their parents, when they blow them off and say, "I changed my mind. I'm going out with my friends. I don't want to hang out with you anymore." Or, "I said I was going to be home for dinner and now I'm not." Or this can especially be painful in divorced families, where it feels like they're picking the other parent and not you. Or even in intact marriages, when one parent feels like the other parent is the favorite. It can look like good cop, bad cop scenario. And when that parent doesn't feel validated, when they feel like the parent that isn't loved as much compared to their counterpart or just generally, it can sound very passive aggressive when they talk to their kid. Something along the lines of, I guess I'm just not as cool as your friends, or I'm just not as fun as your dad. I know I'm boring. Remember when you loved me so much and wanted to do everything with me, and now I just stink? Oh, now you want me to be around? What do you want from me? You only want to hang out when you need something. All right. Seeking validation from your kid is essentially any action or withholding of an action based on the desire to get them to show you love, affection, validation of any kind to feel good, successful, needed, valuable, worthwhile. Besides these passive-aggressive phrases, parents can be a pick-me parent by bending the rules that protect your kid, like curfews, phones, sleepovers, so that that child won't be mad or talk trash, so they like you. It can be not following through with consequences that are valid because then they'll be upset. We don't want to upset them. It's avoiding conversations that need to be had, walking on eggshells, making their upset emotions a priority over what is good and right and what you know is the better move. It can even be sacrificing other kids' needs to not rock the boat or your marital needs. Like, yes, it's your turn to use the car this weekend, dear daughter, but we both know that your sister gets upset. So can you just please help me manage her by getting a ride tonight so that she can use the car, even though it's not her night? It can also look like best friends first and parents a distant second, third, or non-existent. Have you seen the movie Mean Girls? There's this queen bee girl, and she invites all of the other girlfriends over to her house. And the mom comes in. She's got her little tracksuit on. She's awesome. She brings them these drinks on a tray. And the newest girl, who doesn't really know, she's never been to the house before, looks at the mom and kind of whispers, does it have alcohol in it? And the mom's like, oh, no. And then she whispers, but if you want some, I'd rather you do it here in the house. Then the mom leaves. The queen bee friend proceeds to tell her girlfriends why she has the biggest room in the house. It's the primary suite, and she made her parents give it to her. This is pick-me energy. Kids need boundaries, just like they need vegetables and sleep. It doesn't mean that they might not fight you on it, or that you should just be passive and not let them be upset. If your teen is upset with you sometimes, that is a good thing. It is a bigger red flag if they're never upset with you, because that means they're getting everything they want, and that is not setting them up for success in life. Which brings me to our number 2 point. Recognize the harm that these habits are causing. My friend, when another person needs another person to feel good, they tend to emotionally strangle and smother their loved ones in that effort to get what they need. If you sit back and think, this has probably happened to you and you didn't like it. Or it validated the part of you that liked being needed so much, that liked being someone's go-to, so that you stayed in that role until it broke you. Or maybe you were still in that role. And it's this weird fix of getting that dopamine hit of like, yes, I can help them, and then resentment that you have nothing left for yourself. I want you to think of like the I can fix the bad boy mentality. This is the parenting version of that. When parents do this to their kids, they're forcing them to choose to be authentic to themselves or keep the parent happy. They can't have both. These parents set their kids up to resent their parents. They groom them for abusive relationships. When their teen feels that it's their job to keep their parent happy and eventually their partner happy at their own expense. And it basically spoils the ground needed to allow authentic connection to grow. People have to be honest. They have to be comfortable to be themselves. And when parents demand something other than that from their teenagers, they will never have an authentic relationship. When we want or need them to like us and we make it their duty, or else we've failed, we're not good, nobody likes us, we're putting them in a corner that they cannot win. They're forced to choose to yield their authenticity, which is maybe showing disinterest or behaving how they feel most comfortable, or else they face our disappointment at best and manipulation or abuse at worst. Essentially, we're asking our kids to manage our feelings, our sense of self, by liking us and validating us. And I get how, in one way, this totally makes sense. Duh, we want our kids to like us. But do we want them to like us at the expense of us never really knowing them and us not developing as a person? I get that it is hard work to say it's okay that my kid didn't want to be with me, and that doesn't mean they don't love me, and it doesn't mean that I'm not worthwhile. This is the work I've been doing the last week. It's not super fun, but it enables an authentic relationship with my kid. I just have to clean up my side of the street. This is where a coach or professional really comes in handy because they can help you clean all of that up. We do not want to give our kid a job that they never asked for. We didn't have to work for their love as toddlers. It feels so good when they put their little arms around you and you know that you are the center of their world. I remember my son when he was maybe 2, he was crying and I kissed his owie better and he immediately stopped crying. And I said, "Do mommy's kisses make it feel better?" And he was like, "Yes." And I could see that he thought I was just like some magical creature that just was all encompassing, all wise, all loving. And like, I loved it. And then last week he didn't want to hang. Granted, we went out to family dinner, a couple nights before. So he probably thought he was good in that realm. I just have to look at things from his perspective to understand that he still totally loves me and I'm still so valid in his mind, even though he didn't pick me when I wanted him to. Now that he's grown up and he is giving me a perceived rejection, it is my work to not throttle and strangle out of him, knowing that I'm okay and that he loves me. Instead, it's actually an opportunity to self-reflect, which leads me to step number 3. Hi there. I just want to pause and let you know if you are struggling to make sense of your teen's behaviors, emotions are running wild, and you're looking to turn things around to have the family you dreamed of while rocking them to sleep, I would love to talk to you. I want to give you a special, powerful gift. 30 minutes with me, my friend. You'll walk away with more confidence, clarity, and understanding of what the issue is and your next best step in resolving any situation you bring to me. It's completely free. I love families and want to help yours be wildly happy and successful. Book this call by visiting my website, heatherfrazier.com. Remember, Frazier is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. And don't worry, the link is also in the show notes. I look forward to meeting and helping you. All right, last point that I want to make. What do you do instead to have an authentic relationship with your teenager? Very simple. My business versus their business. Your emotions, like wanting to feel loved, valued, important, significant, are for you to understand and to learn to manage. Again, this is where a pro really comes in handy. This is a huge piece that I work on with all of my clients, which is confidence and self-love. You might not think this is relevant to parenting, but it comes in all over the place and causes so many problems when parents look to their teens to pick them to fill this void. If we don't fix this ourselves, it's kind of like drugs in the sense that when we do get a hit, when our teen does pick us, it feels really, really good and we love it. But it satiates for only a short time and then we need more of it. And we need larger quantities to get the same kind of hit. Whereas if we just fill the void ourselves, it's a little more work up front, but we have this giant reserve that never runs out. It's a self-replenishing system once we create it. And so then we can just show up, have a good time with our kid when they want to hang, and it feels so much better to everyone. Their business is how they, your teen, spouse, family, friends, whomever, choose to think and feel and act. If they decide to hang out with you or if they don't, if they decide to be weird and angry and dismissive to you, or if they choose to be kind, that is their business. It's none of your business. My sister and I were talking this week as school is getting started about how we each had one of our kids in high school feel excluded this past week in very blunt ways. Their friends intentionally did not include them, and it hurts. And as parents, we don't want to see our kids not be picked by their friends. And yet, this is part of the human experience that as parents, we still experience from our spouses, from our friends, from our teens. They want their friends and peers to pick them. We want our kids and partners and peers to pick us. We all like this. I don't think that this ever 100% goes away, but with a little bit of practice and through our example of letting our kids want us rather than them needing to choose us for our benefit and their emotional safety, we can model for them how it works to allow people their space. And I know that that seems way too oversimplified, where I have to deal with my emotions and we're modeling for them how to deal with their emotions and how to be a nice human. Now, I will say this past week when some of my kids were sending me messages of rejection, I had to say to one of them, like, that's not nice. When I'm talking to you and you just look at me and walk out of the room and not say anything, I understand that you're mad. And I understand if you need to cool off. But then you say, hey, I can't have this conversation right now. I need to have a break. And so because I wasn't sulking, feeling bad that she was just unkind to me, that she didn't pick me, that she didn't want to be with me, that she didn't even want to talk to me, I could then model for her healthy communication. Because let's be honest, we love our kids and we put up with more of their crap than probably anybody else in their life. And so we need to do them the favor of saying, hey, if you talk like that to one of your friends, they might not want to be your friend anymore. I'll always want to be your mom, even if you treat me badly. And that's something that we can work on. But I need you to know that that's not acceptable behavior with me or with anybody else. It's not going to win you any favors. So here's my one action that I want you to try out. And it's a tool that another coach taught me, and it seems a little bit silly, but it actually really works in getting our brain to break unhelpful cycles on our own. Again, if you're doing this a lot, I highly recommend reaching out to me, to a therapist, to another coach, whomever you're most comfortable with, to get help in switching up these habits, because it really does destroy any authenticity in the relationship that you have with your kid. But what my coach friend shared with me, one of her tools that she shared with me, is to physically put your hands out in front of you, like somebody's going to run into you and you're preventing them from running into you. And you say out loud, stop, stop, stop. And that sends a trigger to your brain that it needs to pause and redirect. When it does that, I want you to recognize how you are falling victim to your brain telling you the most painful story imaginable. Our brain always goes to worst case scenario. Your kid doesn't like you. They think you suck. You're stupid. You should just go to your room and cry. Something along those lines is what our brains typically tell us. It's a lie. So I want you to show your brain how that worst case, most painful story is probably not true. Then I want you to imagine best case scenarios. And you can get as creative as possible. This can be quite fun. So like with my daughter just not responding to me and walking out of the room, I could come up with some wild excuses. Maybe she has to pee really bad. Maybe she's running to my room to write me love notes. Maybe it has nothing to do with me. That's the other thing I want you to show your brain. Choose to see how them not choosing to validate you in the way that you want has more or 100% to do with them and not you. They're uncomfortable in this situation. They'd rather be with their friend, just like I would have rather been with my friends in high school too. It's not that our home isn't a welcoming place or that I'm not somebody they like to be with. It's just that peers are really important and they want to be with their friends. That totally makes sense. This is best done with a guide. I'm happy to see if it's a good fit. You can book a consult call with me. It's free 30 minutes and ask you all of the important things about your situation so that I can show you your next best step. And we can even talk about doing that together if I have coaching spots available. You can book that consult by visiting me at heatherfrazier.com or by clicking the link in the show notes right here. My friend, I hope this has been helpful. Please also share, review, all the good things so that other people can find this podcast. I hope you have a great week, and we will see you next time.